All right, so I made a troubleshooting video about why you're not getting sound. So this is gonna be why you might be getting too much sound. In other words, this might be feedback. So this is when you're getting so much input into something that you're hearing that squealing, screeching sound that drives everyone crazy and instantly turns every head in the room back to the sound person, and you just feel like the worst person in the world. It's a terrible feeling. I'm gonna teach you how to avoid it. So the idea here is you don't want too much input, because too much input is what mostly causes feedback, or also there's this idea of there being a loop that creates feedback. So I'm gonna talk about those. So basically the main issue that you're gonna get feedback is from a mic being too hot or too close to a monitor. So the idea is, like, for example, if your host was walking around the stage, or if pastor was walking around the stage and gets super close to like a wedge on the edge of the stage, like a monitor on the edge of the stage, or one of the main monitors, if that mic gets too close to that main monitor, you're gonna create a feedback loop where that mic is taking in what that monitor is putting out. So it's creating this constant loop, and that's what creates that feedback sound. So something that can keep you from experiencing these feedback issues is just making sure the levels on your mics and instruments are where they need to be at. So if you have your vocals, if you have your mics pushed too high, too hot, you're gonna face a lot of feedback issues. You wanna make sure you're keeping those levels reasonable. So if you have to push the fader like all the way up just to be able to hear someone talking, that's not good, and you're gonna be more susceptible to those kind of feedback issues. So if you've got that fader cranked all the way and you're just like barely hearing someone talking, you're gonna wanna look at the gain. So I've talked a lot about gain and how it can be a bad thing and it can create feedback, which is true. Or it can create distortion, which is true. But you do want to have it you need it to be at an appropriate level. So if you have to push a fader all the way up to hear a microphone, then you want to actually probably adjust the gain. You probably want to crank the gain a little bit more. And if you push that gain up a little bit more, you can pull the fader down with it. So if you can get your fader at a reasonable level, like where it's between maybe 0 and like 5 somewhere on your board for a microphone, that's pretty good. So if you can get the gain set to where you can keep the fader around, because then you have what's called headroom. So you've got a little space where you're not cranking everything out of the water, and that keeps you from getting distortion too. But in the sense of feedback, it's most of the time just making sure that your mics are not too hot, and also that whoever's holding a mic is not standing near a monitor, because that's going to create that feedback loop like I was talking about. So adjust your gain levels as needed. Don't crank them. Don't turn them all the way down. Just be really careful with those. Adjust them as needed. That's something that should probably be done in a sound check, where it's like, hey, I'm not hearing that person super well. Can we take a second, adjust the gain on that microphone, pull the fader down with it, kind of get it at a comfortable level where you don't feel like you're cranking everything to get there. That should keep you mostly from getting those feedback loops and hurting everyone's ears and making everyone mad at you. So this is how to stay in the good graces of all the people who are trusting you with their ears.